Did you know that after the age of 60, the food you eat can literally decide how fast or slow you age? It's true, your diet at this stage isn't just about weight anymore, it's about energy, muscle strength, memory, and even your immune system. Many people unknowingly follow diets that quietly harm their long-term health. So today, we'll look at what science actually says is the best diet plan for people over 60, the benefits, the risks, and how small changes can transform your future health. Now, when we talk about diet after 60, it's not about strict rules or complicated charts. It's about understanding what's actually happening inside your body at this age. You see, once we cross that mark, our metabolism begins to slow down, our muscle mass starts to decline, and our cells don't repair themselves as efficiently as before. This doesn't mean the body stops working well. It means it starts demanding a different kind of care, a smarter form of nourishment. And that's what we're going to explore today. When I've spoken to people in their 60s and beyond, one thing becomes clear almost immediately. They're not eating badly on purpose. In fact, many of them believe they're eating healthy. But the problem isn't usually what's on the plate, it's what's missing from it. The human body thrives on balance, and at this age, that balance becomes more delicate. Too much sugar or processed food can trigger inflammation, too little protein can cause muscle loss, and not enough fiber can disrupt digestion. These aren't dramatic overnight changes, but slow, silent shifts that over time shape how we age, whether we stay strong and energetic or start feeling weak and tired more often. Let's take protein as an example. When you're younger, you can get away with eating a little less of it and still maintain muscle tone. But after 60, the story changes completely. The body becomes less efficient at using protein, which means you actually need a bit more to maintain the same amount of muscle. Think of protein as the building material for your strength, balance, and mobility. Without enough of it, you lose lean mass, and that loss often shows up as fatigue, slower movement, or difficulty climbing stairs. It's not just age that does that, it's undernourishment at the cellular level. Now, on the other hand, too much red or processed meat can have its own risks. These foods can increase inflammation and stress the heart, which is already more sensitive as we age. So it's about finding that middle ground, lean protein from fish, eggs, dairy, beans, and lentils. These sources give you what your muscles need without overloading your body with harmful fats or chemicals. And when you add in a few simple lifestyle habits, regular walking, light resistance exercise, staying hydrated, your body starts responding almost immediately. People often say they feel lighter, their digestion improves, their sleep gets better, and their energy lasts longer through the day. But protein is only one part of the story. The next major factor is fiber, something many people overlook. At 60 and beyond, digestion tends to slow down, partly due to a less active lifestyle, partly because the gut bacteria start to change. The microbiome, that fascinating world inside our intestines, becomes less diverse over time. That means fewer of the good bacteria that help break down food, absorb nutrients, and regulate inflammation. Fiber feeds those bacteria. When you eat enough whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes, you're not just preventing constipation, you're actively nurturing your gut health, which in turn strengthens your immune system and even affects mood and cognition. It's remarkable how deeply connected everything in the body is. The food you eat, the bacteria it feeds, and the energy and clarity you feel each morning. Many people over 60 also experience a decrease in thirst. The brain's thirst signal becomes weaker, so dehydration becomes surprisingly common. And it's not always obvious. You might not feel thirsty, but even mild dehydration can cause fatigue, confusion, or muscle cramps. So water becomes as essential as food in your daily routine. A well-hydrated body absorbs nutrients better, keeps joints lubricated, and helps the kidneys function smoothly. Some older adults avoid drinking too much water because of frequent trips to the bathroom, but reducing fluid intake only makes things worse. The body needs a steady flow of water to maintain blood pressure and regulate temperature, especially in warm weather. Then there's the question of vitamins and minerals. Over time, the stomach produces less acid, and that affects the absorption of certain nutrients like vitamin B12, calcium, and iron. These deficiencies often go unnoticed for years until they show up as fatigue, tingling sensations, or bone weakness. The right diet can fill these gaps before they cause real damage. Leafy greens, dairy or fortified alternatives, nuts, seeds, and oily fish all play vital roles here. And while supplements can help, they're not magic pills. They work best when the foundation of your diet is already solid. One area that often surprises people is fat. For decades we were told that fat was bad, that it clogs arteries and causes heart disease. But now we understand that not all fats are the same. The fats found in avocados, olive oil, nuts, and fish actually protect the heart and brain. They help reduce inflammation, stabilize cholesterol levels, and keep the skin and joints healthy. What's dangerous are the trans fats and processed oils hidden in fried and packaged foods. Those trigger oxidative stress and accelerate aging from the inside out. Replacing those with healthy fats doesn't just improve lab results. It can genuinely make you feel more vibrant and mentally clear. Now let's talk about carbohydrates, the misunderstood friend. Many people cut carbs completely, thinking it's the only way to stay slim. But the truth is, carbohydrates are your brain's primary source of energy. The key is choosing the right ones. Whole grains like oats, brown rice, and quinoa release energy slowly, keeping your blood sugar stable and your focus sharp. Refined sugars, on the other hand, cause sudden spikes and crashes that can leave you feeling drained or irritable. And over time, unstable blood sugar can lead to insulin resistance, which is one of the main drivers of age-related fatigue and metabolic problems. What's fascinating is how the timing of meals also starts to matter more with age. The body's internal clock, or circadian rhythm, becomes more sensitive. Eating large meals late at night can disturb sleep, cause indigestion, and affect glucose control. That's why many experts now recommend having the main meal earlier in the day and keeping dinners lighter. It allows your body to digest food efficiently and rest properly overnight. Small changes like this, adjusting when you eat, not just what you eat, can make an enormous difference in how you feel each morning. Another common concern among people over 60 is bone health. Bones become less dense over time and fractures become more likely. Calcium and vitamin D are crucial here, but they don't work alone. The body also needs magnesium, vitamin K2, and regular weight-bearing exercise to keep bones strong. So a diet rich in dairy or fortified plant alternatives, green vegetables, and moderate sunlight exposure works together to protect your skeletal strength. It's about synergy, nutrients cooperating rather than competing. There's also the emotional side of eating, which we often overlook. After retirement or after children move out, many older adults find themselves eating alone more often. This affects appetite and mood. Studies have shown that people who share meals with others tend to eat more balanced diets and maintain better mental health. So food isn't just nutrition, it's connection, memory, and comfort. Preparing fresh meals, inviting company, or even joining a community cooking group can reignite that spark. A healthy diet is much easier to sustain when it's shared with others. And then, of course, there's the issue of cravings. As taste buds become less sensitive, people sometimes add more sugar or salt to their meals without realizing it. That can raise blood pressure or blood sugar over time. The trick here is retraining the palate, using herbs, spices, and natural seasonings to enhance flavor instead. Over a few weeks, the body adapts, and suddenly you no longer crave the same intense sweetness or saltiness. Your taste sharpens again, and food becomes naturally enjoyable. When we look at longevity in populations around the world, a pattern starts to emerge. The longest living communities aren't necessarily following strict diets or expensive supplements. They're eating simple, real food, mostly plants, moderate portions of animal protein, very little processed food, and they stay active daily. They also tend to eat slowly, without distractions, allowing their bodies time to recognize fullness. This combination keeps the metabolism stable and prevents overeating. Now, you might be wondering, what about the disadvantages? What can go wrong even with a healthy diet? One of the biggest issues is imbalance. Too much of even a good thing can cause harm. For example, taking excessive supplements can strain the liver or kidneys, especially if they're already under pressure. Eating too much fiber without enough water can cause bloating or constipation. And cutting out entire food groups can lead to deficiencies that show up months later. That's why moderation and diversity are so important. They protect you from extremes. Another challenge is how medication interacts with food. Many older adults take daily prescriptions for blood pressure, diabetes, or cholesterol. Some of these drugs can interfere with nutrient absorption or appetite. Grapefruit juice, for example, can alter how certain medications are processed in the liver. So it's always important to discuss diet changes with a healthcare professional to make sure everything works together safely. The truth is, there isn't one perfect diet for everyone over 60. Each person's needs are slightly different, depending on activity level, health conditions, and even genetics. But there are universal principles that apply to almost everyone. Eat real food, stay hydrated, keep portions moderate, and listen to your body. These small, consistent actions create momentum. The body has an incredible ability to heal and adapt, even at an older age. Within a few weeks of changing habits, people often notice clearer skin, better sleep, improved digestion, and a steadier mood. As we age, our relationship with food becomes more personal. It's no longer just about taste or appearance, it's about survival and vitality. Every meal is an opportunity to support the body, to give it what it truly needs. And that's a powerful shift in mindset. When you view food not as restriction but as nourishment, every bite becomes a choice towards strength, energy, and independence. So the best diet plan for people over 60 isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, understanding how your body has changed and responding to it with care. Because the goal isn't just to live longer, it's to live better. To have the energy to wake up each morning with purpose, to move without pain, to think clearly, and to enjoy the moments that truly matter. Food has the power to make that happen quietly, consistently, one meal at a time. ChatGPT said, and when we talk about living better, not just longer, It all comes back to how our choices shape the body's internal chemistry each day. What we eat this morning changes how our cells behave tonight. It's extraordinary to think about. The body isn't static even after 60. It's constantly rebuilding, recycling, adapting. New cells replace old ones, proteins are rebuilt, the heart still learns to pump more efficiently, and the brain can still form new neural connections. But for that regeneration to happen, the body needs the right materials, the right fuel. Food, at its core, is information for your cells. It tells them how to act, how to heal, and how to age. That's why, as we move through our 60s and 70s, nutrition starts playing the same role that medicine once did. A poor diet can quietly push you toward disease, while the right one can pull you back toward balance. And often, the changes are invisible at first. Lower inflammation, steadier blood sugar, calmer heart rhythm. You don't always see it, but your body feels it deeply. Now, one of the most overlooked aspects of aging and diet is inflammation. It's not always dramatic, it can be quiet, persistent, and hidden. Chronic low-grade inflammation has been linked to nearly every major disease of aging. Heart disease, arthritis, dementia, diabetes. But the remarkable thing is that much of it starts in the gut, and much of it can be managed through food. When the gut barrier weakens, bacteria and toxins slip into the bloodstream, triggering immune responses that never fully turn off. The immune system stays on alert, using energy, wearing down tissues and accelerating aging. But when we eat foods rich in antioxidants, omega-3s and plant fibers, we strengthen that barrier. It's almost like repairing the walls of a city that's been quietly under siege for years. Imagine starting your morning with oats, nuts and berries. It sounds simple, but what's really happening is biochemical. The oats provide beta-glucans that lower cholesterol and stabilize glucose. The berries deliver anthocyanins that neutralize free radicals. The nuts supply healthy fats and magnesium for your heart and nerves. It's a chain reaction, each nutrient supporting another, creating an environment where your body can thrive. This is the science of synergy, when simple, everyday foods create complex, beneficial effects inside the body. Now think about what happens when you replace that meal with processed cereal or white bread. You might feel full, but at the cellular level, you've given your body little more than glucose spikes and empty calories. Over time, that leads to fatigue, insulin resistance, and inflammation. The difference isn't visible in a week or two, but after years, it determines whether you walk with strength or with hesitation, whether you remember clearly or struggle with fog. That's how profoundly diet shapes aging. People often ask whether it's too late to change once they're already past 60. And the answer, beautifully, is no. The body is remarkably forgiving. Within weeks of adjusting your diet, measurable improvements occur. Blood pressure begins to stabilize, inflammation markers decrease, and energy returns. Muscles start responding again when given the right protein and resistance exercise. Even bone density, which we once thought could only decline, can be supported and sometimes rebuilt through calcium, rich foods, and physical movement. Aging isn't a downhill slide, it's a dynamic phase that can still move in either direction depending on your choices. But food is also deeply psychological. After 60, our habits are long established, often tied to memory and comfort. Many people associate food with family, culture, routine. Changing those habits feels personal. That's why gradual shifts work best. Replacing white rice with brown, butter with olive oil, soda with herbal tea, small, steady steps create lasting change. Over time, taste buds adapt, digestion improves, and new routines form naturally. It's not about restriction, it's about restoration. Another important change in later years is how the body handles sugar. Insulin sensitivity decreases, which means blood sugar stays elevated for longer after meals. This doesn't just affect energy, it also accelerates aging through a process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins, making them stiff and less functional. That's one of the reasons skin loses elasticity and joints become less flexible over time. Reducing refined sugar isn't just about diabetes prevention, it's about protecting tissues throughout the body. Switching to natural sweetness from fruits or using cinnamon to enhance flavor helps maintain that delicate balance without overloading your system. Then there's the brain. Cognitive health and diet are tightly linked. After 60, the brain starts to become more sensitive to oxidative stress and nutrient deficiencies. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish like salmon or sardines play a crucial role in maintaining brain cell membranes and communication between neurons. Meanwhile, foods rich in flavonoids, dark chocolate, green tea, berries, have been shown to support blood flow to the brain and reduce cognitive decline. And it's not only about nutrients, it's also about rhythm. Regular mealtimes keep glucose levels stable, giving the brain a steady fuel supply, which is vital for memory and focus. Sleep, too, becomes intertwined with diet. A heavy late meal can interfere with deep sleep, while caffeine or alcohol can disrupt the body's restorative cycles. On the other hand, magnesium-rich foods like bananas, almonds, and leafy greens can help relax muscles and promote calm before bed. The link between food and rest is circular. Poor sleep increases cravings and weakens metabolism, while good nutrition supports better sleep. When both align, you wake up refreshed rather than drained. As we move through these interconnected systems, digestion, heart health, brain function, sleep, we begin to see that no single nutrient or meal determines your health. It's the pattern, the daily consistency, that truly matters. And when you maintain that balance, the body's natural resilience begins to shine again. The immune system becomes stronger, recovery from illness quicker, and energy more reliable. But even the best diet can be undone by chronic stress. After 60, many people face emotional or lifestyle changes, retirement, loss, loneliness. Stress hormones like cortisol affect metabolism, making it harder to maintain stable weight or blood sugar. Here, food can become part of emotional healing. Meals rich in tryptophan, magnesium, and B vitamins support serotonin production, which improves mood and helps the body cope with anxiety. Cooking fresh meals, eating mindfully, even growing herbs or vegetables, these acts reconnect the body and mind in a therapeutic way. And we shouldn't forget physical activity. No diet works in isolation. When you combine proper nutrition with movement, the effects multiply. Muscles use glucose more efficiently, blood circulation improves, and digestion speeds up. Exercise also stimulates the release of growth factors that keep the brain and bones strong. Even gentle activities, walking, swimming, light stretching, amplify the benefits of healthy eating. The two systems, movement and nourishment, work together like gears in a clock, keeping your internal time running smoothly. As we look at societies with the healthiest older populations, certain patterns emerge. Meals are simple, mostly plant-based, eaten slowly, often shared. People move naturally throughout the day, tending gardens, walking to markets, cooking together. These communities aren't focused on restriction but on rhythm, balance, and enjoyment. Food there isn't a source of guilt, it's a source of connection. And that sense of belonging, that calm social environment, has measurable effects on longevity. Stress hormones stay low, digestion stays efficient, and the immune system remains alert but balanced. In contrast, modern eating patterns often do the opposite. Rushed meals, processed foods, late night snacking, and constant stress. Over decades, this wears the body down. The difference between those two worlds, one natural and mindful, the other artificial and rushed, is the difference between aging gracefully and aging painfully. But the good news is it's never irreversible. Each day, each meal, is another chance to move toward health. Let's imagine a simple scenario. Two people, both 65. One continues eating fast food, skipping breakfast, and relying on sugary drinks for energy. The other begins eating real food, oatmeal in the morning, fresh vegetables, lean proteins, olive oil, water throughout the day. After 1 year, the first feels slower, more fatigued, maybe begins new medications. The second feels sharper, more mobile, with stable blood pressure and energy. The difference wasn't luck. It was daily chemistry, repeated hundreds of times. The body simply reflected what it was fed. As people grow older, they often worry about losing independence, not being able to move freely, cook, or remember things. But the foundation for independence lies in physical and metabolic health, and both are nourished by food. A balanced diet protects muscle, bone, heart, and brain. The 4 pillars of longevity. Neglect one, and the others start to weaken. Protect all 4, and the body continues to function like a finely tuned machine. It's also important to remember that enjoyment must remain part of this process. Eating should never become fear-based. The occasional treat or family meal is not what harms health. It's the consistent neglect of nutrition that does. Food should still bring joy, color, and flavor. A diet built on guilt or restriction often leads to stress, which itself harms the body. The goal is not to eat less, but to eat right, to nourish deeply, not just fill. In the end, a good diet for people over 60 isn't a trend or a one-size-fits-all plan. It's a lifelong partnership with your body, and understanding that every choice either supports or challenges your health. It's knowing that your metabolism, your brain, your heart, they're still listening to what you feed them, and they'll respond with either strength or struggle. What's extraordinary is that food gives you control. Even when many things in life feel uncertain, the plate in front of you is a form of power, the power to heal, to restore, to protect. That's why when we talk about the best diet for people over 60, we're really talking about a blueprint for vitality, real food, real movement, real rest. These are the timeless foundations of health that don't fade with age, they only become more important. So as we close this discussion, think about your next meal, not as just breakfast or dinner, but as a conversation between you and your body. Each bite says something: I care about my future, I respect my health, I'm choosing life over decline. Because the truth is, aging doesn't take your strength away, neglect does. Feed your body wisely, and it will thank you, not just today, but for every year still to come.